Hey YouTube, what's going on? Son of Sanguinius here, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. I should mention that as of the date of the recording of this video, the next 2 days I probably won't be uploading much. Today, the video, or the day this video gets uploaded will probably be it'll probably only have like one video, specifically this video, and then the day after this video is uploaded, there probably won't be any content from me. Usually I just have the weekends as breaks, but there's just some stuff going on that I will talk about in a sec. So for this one, I figured I'd start, a new playlist, and I figure, I'd have, an opinions and rants section on my channel. And for this one, not going to be anything ranty, but really just some opinion pieces, and we'll see how it goes. So the opinion for today is, which 40K army has the best looking models? Now, obviously, it's purely subjective, and I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below. But for me personally, when I first got into 40K, I started with Blood Angels, and I really liked the look of the Sanguinary Guard. Matter of fact, the box of Sanguinary Guard was the first. It was like the first 40K models that I ever bought. And as I've expanded my repertoire, as it were, I do have a small force, about 1,500 points of Tyranids, and I got about 500 points of Orcs that I mistakenly started because I thought I was going to do Orcs with like Captain Tycho and all that, but that was like way before I knew what the hell I was thinking. But anyway. So, as I've sort of, played against some other armies, and, I've seen, like, the kind of stuff that Games Workshop has put out, I've had this sort of, call it like a guilty, fascination with the Dark Gods. And, as heretical as it may seem, I've always really enjoyed the look of a lot of the Chaos Space Marines. Just the way their armor is, because it's all of the dominating presence and the badassness of Space Marines taken to another level. So what sort of how did this all come to be? Well, I believe it was last week or the week before. I was searching online. A couple of buddies of mine, we played the Pathfinder role-playing game, and that was fun. But we wanted to do something different. And so I found an online PDF for Black Crusade put out by Fantasy Flight Games. And if you don't know, Black Crusade is basically a 40K role-playing game that basically puts you in the shoes of either a sort of like a renegade or like a heretic, or alternatively, you can also be a Chaos Space Marine. So of course, given the option, of course we all picked heretics. I'm just messing with you. We we all there was one of my friends that wanted to be like a heretic or whatever, but I was like, no, we're all being Chaos Space Marines for this. So what I then did was I asked my friends. I said, hey, we can all pitch in, buy a box of Chaos Space Marines, and to use as models for the for the role playing game. I was like, hey, why don't I build them and paint them up the way you guys want them or whatever. I figure why not? What the hell? It's something different to paint. Get those hobby juices flowing. And it can be fun and creative and whatever. So one of my friends wanted Alpha Legion, another one wanted Word Bearers, another one wanted Pre-Heresy Thousand Suns, and then I went with Death Guard, or some sort of Plague Marine-esque type thing. And I gotta say, as far as the best looking models in 40K, as heretical as it sounds, I really think, in my personal opinion, that Chaos Space Marines have the best looking models. I sort of talked about this a little bit earlier in this video, how Chaos Space Marines, they have that sort of dominating presence with the large armor plates, especially on the legs and the shoulders, the backpacks, a lot of the cool looking helmets and all that. And Space Marines do have a very dominating presence, on the tabletop. They're not like they're not like something small like a Termagant or whatever. They're fairly buff or whatever. Especially when you start talking about Terminators and Space Marine vehicles, especially. And for me, Chaos Space Marines not only have that, but they take it to another level just with all of the skulls and the spikes, and depending on what Traitor Legion or what warband you do, especially for something like the pre-heresy Thousand Suns, with the red and the gold, that kind of thing, or something like Word Bearers with sort of a dark red with the nice silver outline and spikes and all that stuff. And what kind of surprised me was how in depth you could be, with something like a Plague Marine, like just not only getting that sort of sickly green, but also messing around with the Typhus Corrosion and Ryza Rust paints. On there as well, and then just alternating silver bits or like iron bits with kind of like a darker bronze and all that stuff, and you can really pack a lot of detail onto Chaos Space Marine models. And while I get that you can do that with any model, I feel like Chaos Space Marines, they're sort of the most badass looking models, if you will. Obviously, with Space Marines, especially like when you get into the chapter specific stuff, Dark Angels, Blood Angels, and Space Wolves definitely have like some really cool looking things. For Blood Angels, Sanguinary Guard, Death Company, and Blood Angels Assault Terminators can look really, really good, especially in the Space Hulk game, which Santa got me for Christmas. The only one in my hobby shop, as a matter of fact. But so Blood Angels, with the red and the gold, and they look very very pretty, as Sanguinius intended them to be. And then you have things like Dark Angels that can actually look quite good, especially if you do sort of like the mixed wing, with Raven Wing and Deathwing. I think both of those types of models look excellent. And then obviously for the Space Wolves, things like the Wolf Guard and some of the more eccentric things and that kind of stuff can look really, really good. Some other things, Imperial Guard, I think can look okay. I don't think that they're not the most eye-catching models normally. I mean, there are, don't get me wrong, there are some people that can make it look really, really good, but they're not really meant to be all that flashy. The idea with Imperial Guard is, they're meant to be sort of the front line, mainstay of the Imperium. They're just humans. There really isn't too much anything that's really too special about them. With the one exception being the Militarum Tempestus or Militarum Tempestus, however you choose to pronounce that. They can look kind of cool with the goggles and the visors and all that stuff, and they do have some of the cooler looking weapons and armor. Eldar and Tau, they kind of look, very smooth and very, I guess, alien-esque, very high-tech looking. Although with the Eldar tend to have more, like, curvatures and kind of sharp edges to them, whereas the Tau sort of have straight edges, but, relatively smooth features. And, of course, with their battle suits and all that, those can also look, really, really cool. Let's see, what else? Orcs. I think there's a lot of creativity that I think a lot of orc players bring to the tabletop, and as far as like painting and modeling goes. And frankly, I've seen some very good conversions for like battle wagons and some of their flyers and some of their transports. And honestly, I really do enjoy a good kit bash with orcs. I think it's fluffy, it makes sense, and frankly, if it's like a good kit bash, I really like would not care if opponent said, hey, this is like a converted land raider that I'm using as a battlekin. I would be perfectly fine with that, because it's narrative, it's cool, and that's one of the things that brought me into the hobby, to see cool looking models. And orcs, I would say maybe not most of the mainstay stuff that you see from orcs, but especially like a lot of the kit bashing stuff that orc players bring. I would say that might be a close second to Chaos Space Marines, just for the cool, fluff factor. Dark Eldar, kind of, I really don't know. They're kind of, the emo, kinky space elves. Well, maybe not emo so much, but, the sadistic, kinky space elves. So, there's that, I guess. They're space elves, but, in black, basically. I never really found their models too appealing, although I think that the incubi look particularly cool. I think that's what they're called. I don't know. I don't play Dark Eldar. Maybe one of you guys can tell me down below in the comments. Let's see, what else? Tyranids. Now, I do collect Tyranids, and I do think that you can do like some interesting stuff with them. Although, frankly, my fascination with Tyranids is more so just how they play, and the fact that Blood Angels, if any of you guys have been keeping up with the current fluff with, the Cryptus system and the Shield of Baal books and all that, they're kind of embroiled with the Blood Angels there, trying to, swallow everything up, including Baal. Can't let that happen. Hope Karlaean gets on that after he's done in the Dionor system, I believe. It's an Angel's Blade or whatever. Basically, it's like, the Blood Angels are, trying to, fend off the Tyranids, and then there's like, oh shit, Crimson Slaughter have made it past the Cadian Gate somehow. They went around Cadia instead of trying to go through it. Hey, Blood Angels, we know you're kind of struggling to keep a hold of your home planet. But you might send in, your first and second companies and fifth company to, help us out here. And of course, Dante, being the selfless man that he is, he's like, all right, whatever. We got, Flesh Tearers and all the other Blood Angel successors, Garden Ball. It should be fine. So, anyway, I'm trying to think if there's any army that I missed. Let's see. Chaos Space Marines, and all their variants. Tau, Eldar, Dark Eldar, Orcs, Tyranids. Mechanicus, Adeptus Mechanicus, and Adeptus Sororitas. So I do kind of like the steampunky feel of the Mechanicus. I think that some of it can be pretty interesting if done right. And of course it's always nice to play the tech priests, worshiping their machine gods. So I do like some of the, especially like some of like the half human, like half robot stuff that they managed to do, like the cybernetic stuff. I think that some of that looks really cool. And then of course you got the Sisters of Battle, which I would love it, Games Workshop, if you made plastic molds for Sisters. And why Games Workshop hasn't done that, I don't know. I feel like they're probably gonna milk the pewter till it's dry. I really don't know. It's a shame that they refuse to make plastic sisters, because we'd buy them, Games Workshop. It's just you insist on spitting in our face, and it's kind of annoying. So, whew. Anyway, I'm trying to think if I'm missing any armies here. Just off the top of my head. I don't think so. And Necrons. Necrons, it's kind of weird. I think that Necrons tend to have sort of the most bland sort of color scheme, because it's basically just like, silver with some green or whatever. Easy to paint, and I was tempted to get into Necrons simply because I wanted like an enemy army for my Blood Angels, and they were easy to paint. But like looks wise, not all, but most of what I've seen is generally just like lead belcher with Nuln Oil, and then like some green energy whatever on their weapons, and that's it's just not a very aesthetically pleasing to look at. I mean, it can look cool in the right circumstances, but it just never really appealed to me all that much. So. Wow. Anyway, I did not intend this video to be this long, and of course, this video was largely unscripted and kind of ranty and rambly, but that's kind of what you can expect from videos in the opinion/rant thing. I'm pretty much just going to go unscripted, and usually I'll make these as sort of like a fallback if I don't have any other content planned for the day. But anyway, I am curious to hear your guys' opinion on what you think are the best looking models in 40K. So feel free to leave a comment down below, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.